All right, guys, we're comparing the Holosun Iris to a couple different devices here. So this is part of my night vision test. If you haven't already seen that, go ahead and check that out. But we're comparing it to the Somogear NGAL, Steiner DBAL A3, the Somogear PEC 15, and the Perst 3. All right, so I think pretty much everybody hopefully can kind of see here is just the size comparison. I do have them sized from left to right, from the smallest to the largest. You can basically see, I mean, the NGAL was pretty small to begin with, but the Holosun Iris is smaller yet. So I think some of the major things to kind of look at here beyond the size differences is the position and layout of their controls. So if we were kind of looking at the Holosun Iris, the fire button is in the rear of the device, centered up. Somogear NGAL, while it's centered, it's towards the front of the unit. The Steiner DBAL A3, it's on the left-hand side in the center. Somogear PEC 15, it's in the middle of the device. And then the Perst 3, there's actually two fire buttons. One is in the rearmost position on the top, and then there's also a fire button in the rear on the back end of the device. So I think one of the nice things that's slightly different with the Holosun Iris versus the other 4 units that I have here on the table is that your visible laser, your IR laser, and your illuminator is all located in one housing here on would be the right-hand side if you're looking at it from the rear of the unit. This is your battery cap right here. But all your other devices are your standard traditional where you have your 2 lasers on one side of the housing and then your illuminator on the other. So what that means is when you're dealing with zeroing the lasers and the illuminator, you actually have to do them separate. So you would do your lasers first. Once you get your laser 0 to wherever you want it, then you would just adjust your illuminator over to center it up with the IR laser. So again, only one set of adjustments, so that's actually really nice. Do it once, you've done them all. So actually, great job for Holosun. That's pretty forward thinking. All right, so I think one of the first things we'd take a look at here is the couple things on the top here is your fire button. So, it's pretty tactile. I mean, you can definitely feel that. You're not going to mistake it. It's got a nice raised texture right here. So, if you're doing this obviously in the dark, you can feel that. You feel, depending on the glove, if you're wearing gloves, that may be something that's a little harder to tell, depending on the thickness of the glove. But, if you're using bare hands, this definitely has a nice texture. You'll definitely know that you're on it. And again, not a loud audible click, but it's tactile. You can feel it actually pressing. So again, that's good. The other is your slider here. So the big thing with this is, one, I think it's in a pretty good spot. Again, I think if you're using this under night vision, it'll take a little bit to get used to. It's not like all the other units. It's just a straight push forward, pull back. I think the other thing too is if you're coming into it with the assumption that, oh, it'll just move, pretty freely, you don't have to think about it. No, Holosun actually has it set up so that you really do have to pay attention to what you're doing. So in other words, you can't just accidentally slide this forward. So I think that's good on their part. They have enough friction there that it won't accidentally move on you, either under recoil or if you're just grabbing the unit naturally. So again, you have to put a little bit of pressure forward, and there's slight audible clicks It's not too loud, but you can definitely feel it. So there is 5 positions. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 5 total positions. That's from your widest open on the Illuminator to the narrowest on the Illuminator. So your wide open is all the way forward. Your closed down is all the way back. So I think that's pretty intuitive, that if you want to widen things up, you push it forward. If you want to narrow it down, you pull it back. So I think from that perspective, that's pretty intuitive on their design. Just flip it over here. Again, just kind of looking at it from this perspective. Pretty standard cross thread for your Picatinny adapter. The manual claims 30 inch-pounds for torquing it, so you don't have to go ham on it. Also, if we're looking at this from this side, on the left-hand side, you have your laser illuminator settings. So if we're going to start from, we'll go counterclockwise. So we have visible VIS at the 2 o'clock position. Then you have your IR laser in the 12 o'clock position. You have your illuminator at the 9 o'clock position or 10 o'clock position. And then it's your 9 o'clock position. That's where you have your dual illuminator and laser settings for your infrared. So kind of starting off, the unit does take a CR123 battery. They do supply a lithium battery with the unit, so that's nice, but I suppose most people would have a bunch of lithium batteries that are running any kind of laser illuminator devices, so stick with some good name brand. Obviously, Energizer certainly works well. The battery cap here, again, if you were looking at it from the back side, it would be on your left-hand side. It's captured pretty well. It locks up pretty well as well. I don't think there's any concerns or issues with it coming loose. I'm sure over time that's possible if you crank on this pretty well. So I think the one area that I would, if I'm going to immediately criticize, and again, this is a minor criticism, is the actual cap. It isn't quite on there. You could see it doesn't really fit great, and it's a little sticky. So, it's not like, oh, it'll just flip out of the way. I mean, you kind of have to really make an effort to move it. Again, I suppose that there's some pros and cons to that. I would say, I'm sure there's going to be, I would like to hope that there's some aftermarket support for that. Here it is. Again, I think generally this is a, pretty well thought out device. Again, I like the fire button in the center. I like that it's got a nice textured feel on the fire button. I like the slider. Again, it's not like it'll automatic. I'm putting slight pressure just to show you, like, you're not going to accidentally go from narrowest to highest or vice versa. Again, you really do have to make a cognizant effort to push that forward. So again, either under recoil or just, again, grabbing it under night vision, you're not going to accidentally move it. So there was a question about, will this Holosun Iris work with a front sight block AR? So this is a Mark 18 Mod 0 clone, just mounted on the top. So if I flip this over here, gonna get that over here. Hopefully I can get this lined up, but hopefully you can kind of see here, it's close. The visible laser, IR laser, should be fine. I will probably need to test it, but I would say the Illuminator may be close. So there is a possible, if you want to run it at the 12 o'clock position, you may run into some splash on the front sight post. I will try to test that, but again, be aware that that is a potential problem. So just as a test for the visible laser, you can kind of see there. I know it's out of focus, but you could see the laser on the table there. So again, it clears fine. So just as a quick overview, when you get the Holosun Iris, it does come in a nice hard case. Other than that, I mean, what it comes with it is obviously the unit itself. It does come with a CR123 lithium battery. It does come with the pressure pad, and it comes with a adjustment tool. So it's a standard Holosun adjustment tool. So if you have any of their devices, it's the same one there. So any other ones that you have work exactly with this, especially for the adjustments. For your cross-threaded locking right here, Holosun in their manual states 30 inch-pounds. So don't go cranking on it, ham.